What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the channel. Today we're going to be doing a scouting video with the new scouting update here in Madden 22. The first thing that I want to start off with is one of the most important notes in regard to scouting within the new scouting update, and rather it is a similarity and not necessarily a change from previous scouting. The way that the new scouting update works is whenever you have a player's skills uncovered as you scout this player, you're going to get a letter grade for their skills. So you guys can see here for Corey Cross, this randomly generated left tackle, I have the A awareness and A pass block finesse unlocked for this player. Now, this is a very important point to note because I feel like this is a point where people may get confused thinking that this is saying a specific number grade or something like that. There's a reason that it doesn't necessarily show a number grade. First and foremost, they don't want you to know exactly what this player has in that specific category. Rather, what they want to do is they want to hide that number. And the important thing to remember here, however, and the important point of this video, is that these letter grades are in relation to the draft class itself and not in relation to those grades as a whole within the league. And so, for example, if we were talking about the NFL, if we were talking about an A awareness grade or an A pass block finesse grade, we would be looking at something in the 90s. We would be looking at a top tier grade in terms of that specific player's position and skill rating. However, whenever we take a look at the draft class, for example, you will see that Corey Cross's awareness rating is only at a 78. And so it's crucial to understand whenever you are uncovering these skills for players what these numbers mean. It means that he has the basically top grade at that rating within the draft class. You guys can see as I go through here, his awareness rating is higher than anybody else's, and that's why he's getting that A grade for awareness. So in comparison to the other players in the draft class, he has an A grade at that skill. And so what can change here is, let's say everybody in the draft class had 60 awareness and he had 65 awareness, then he would get an A grade in comparison to everybody else. So you can theoretically have an A grade and it could still be a bad grade determined based on how good the draft class is or how bad the draft class is. That's a very important point to note. Very, very, very crucial in terms of scouting and team building and all of that in franchise mode, because you need to know what you're getting with these players. And most times, like in the NFL, it's a bit of a guessing game. You know, you could take a look at this player and you could say, okay, well, this guy has better skills in so many different categories compared to everybody else in the draft class. And then you end up drafting that player and he's really not as good as you thought. And that happens to me all the time. That happens to, franchise players all the time. And the reason for that is that those A grades and things of that nature, B grades, C grades, whatever, don't necessarily translate directly to a number. Now, generally speaking, based on how draft classes come out, you'll get a good idea for what those numbers tend to be with especially randomly generated draft classes. For example, you can see here that the randomly generated draft classes start in the high 70s for awareness, so I can be pretty sure that on a general basis, if I have an A in the awareness category, it'll be in the high 70s. But that's going to change position to position and skill to skill. So for example, running backs might all have a higher overall in terms of their carrying skill or their break tackle skill or their ball carrier vision skill. And what it's going to take in order for you to get a very good idea of who to draft in terms of their skill grades is to go into some randomly generated draft classes or have an understanding of what your draft class is. If your league is downloading maybe Bengals draft class or some other YouTuber's draft class or something like that, get an understanding of where the skills lie overall wise in terms of those draft classes, and then you'll get a good idea for where a player's skill lies whenever you uncover their skill grades. And so, if I go to any specific position and I'm trying to figure out, who's got really good catching at the wide receiver position, I would want to know that, okay, well, the top catching of anybody at the wide receiver position in the draft class is about an 85. So if I get an A grade, I'll know that my A catching is going to be somewhere in that 83, 84, 85 range. that's kind of how you have to go about it. I recommend, like I'm doing right here, just going into a draft class, scrolling through various different positions, sorting by the key attributes so that you have a good idea of, what would be an A grade, what might be a B grade, and line those things up. And you'll get a pretty good idea pretty quickly of what you need to be looking out for whenever you're scouting players within the new scouting update in Madden 22. Now, that's all I had for you guys today. This is just a short video to address this subject, so everybody is clear on exactly what we're looking at here in Madden 22. Like I said, this really is not a change. This is kind of the way that it's been for a while with scouting in Madden, but I wanted to get a nice clear video for you guys so that you guys can do the best that you possibly can at building your teams in franchise modes. Hopefully, this helped you guys out in some way. If it did give you some useful information, as always, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and comment down below. As always, I'll see you in the next one, and I hope you have a good one.